What does 1 Corinthians 13 actually say about what a Christian life should be? You see, we read this at every wedding, and we love the definition of love here. But think about what this means for your Christian walk and what it should look like. Listen. Though I speak with the tongues of men and angels, but have not love, I have become sounding brass or a clanging cymbal. Though I have the gift of prophecy and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and though I have all faith so that I could remove mountains, but have not love, I am nothing. And though I bestow all my goods to feed the poor, and though I give my body to be burned, but have not love, it profits me nothing. Love suffers long and is kind. Love does not envy. Love does not parade itself. It is not puffed up. Love does not behave rudely, does not seek its own, is not provoked, thinks no evil, does not rejoice in iniquity, but rejoices in the truth, bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never fails. But where there are prophecies, they will fail. Whether there are tongues, they will cease. Whether there is knowledge, it will vanish away. For we know in part, and we prophesy in part. But when that which is perfect has come, then that which is in part will be done away. When I was a child, I spoke as a child, I understood as a child, I thought as a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things. For now we see in the mirror, dimly, but then face to face. Now I know in part, but then I shall know just as I am known. And now these abide, faith, hope, love. These three, but the greatest of these is love. What does that mean? Well, if you look, what does he say that is normal in a Christian life? He's talking about speaking in tongues. He's talking about miracles that can move mountains. He's talking about gifts of charity. But he says very clearly, if you are doing these without the love of God in you and for the love of God, then it's nothing. It's worthless. If you're not doing it with the right motive, if you aren't doing it because of the love of God, it's worthless. And what does it look like to love? It says, love suffers long and is kind. What does it mean to suffer long? It means that when somebody wrongs you, you take it. You bless those who curse you. You pray for those who spitefully use you. You love your enemy. Love suffers long and is kind. Love does not envy. It does not parade itself and is not puffed up. You know how he says, don't let your right hand know what your left hand is doing? Don't go out there showing people the good works you're doing for the glory of man. Because he said for those people, they get the reward here on earth. But if you do those things that you're doing for God, out of love with a humble heart, and you aren't doing it for the attention here on earth, then in heaven you'll get your reward. It says, what those things that are done secretly, God will reward openly. It says, love does not behave rudely, does not seek its own, and is not provoked and thinks no evil. This is one of those times where God is talking about the condition of your heart and your mind more so than the condition of your life. Like, it matters more your motive, it matters more your thoughts than what you are actually doing. Because if you're doing these things that are good, it's good to give to charity, it's good to prophesy, it's good to do these things. But if you're doing them with motives that are impure, because you want other people to think that you're good, it's useless. It's worthless. God says it's the motive of the heart that matters. And what does this mean down here? When I was a child, I spoke as a child. I understood as a child and thought as a child. But I put away childish things. Now we see in a mirror dimly, but then face to face. Now I know in part, but then I shall know just as I am known. It's saying that these gifts that God has given to the church that are supposed to be used in love to build up the church will one day not be necessary anymore, because Christ will be back and we'll see him face to face. And it's no longer seeing a blurry image of who he is. It's seeing who he truly is face to face as he lives with us and guides us. The thing that really strikes me about this and how important it is to love is when we go back over into John 15, we hear Jesus say, "As the Father loved me, I also have loved you. Abide in my love. If you keep my commandments, you will abide in my love, just as I have kept my Father's commandments and abide in his love. These things I have spoken to you, that my joy may remain in you, and that your joy may be full." So if you want to know how to be happy as a Christian and your joy be full, listen. "This is my commandment, that you love one another as I have loved you. Greater love has no one than this, than to lay down one's life for his friends. You are my friends if you do whatever I command you." What is Jesus saying? He's saying, if you love him, you will do what he's told you to do. You will obey him out of love. And so then your Christian life will be a reflection of that love into the world. A Christian life is not a list of to-dos. It's not a list of to-don'ts. It's not don't drink, don't smoke, don't swear, yes, don't do those things. But it's not about that. It's not checking off the checklist to make yourself a good person. It's making your priority pleasing God, and out of love for him and what he's done for you, living a life that reflects that to the world so others can see his goodness and his sweetness and come to him too and also be saved. It's not about how you look or how you act. It's about why you act the way you act, and why you look the way you look, and why you do the things you do that are different from what you used to do before you were saved. People get very caught up in a checklist of church rules. That's not the way to salvation. That's not the way to please God. There are things you shouldn't do as a Christian, yes. But if you're following a list to try to get to heaven, that's not quite the motive you should be having. You should look at the love God showed you. You should look at what he has given to us. And out of the love that you have for him and the awe that he would do that he would humble himself, come as a man, allow himself to be tortured to death for my crimes, not his crimes, for my crimes, to make a way for me and you and all of us to go join him in heaven for eternity, because he loves us and wants us to have that blessing. We have to see that, realize what he went through for us, and then act on the love that's in our heart for the man who was willing to do that for us. It says here, "Whoever confesses that Jesus is the Son of God, God abides in him, and he in God. And we have known and believed the love of God that God has for us. God is love, and he who abides in love abides in God, and God in him. Love has been perfected among us in this, that we may have boldness in the day of judgment, because as he is, so are we in this world. There is no fear in love, but perfect love casts out fear, because fear involves torment. But he who fears has not been made perfect in love." What does that mean? That means if you fear going to hell, the love of God is not perfected in you. You don't trust in the love that he has for you and the love that you have for him and the relationship that you have formed. If you don't have an intimate relationship with God where you know him and he knows you and your motives are to please him and you understand the love he has for you, then you might fear, am I really saved? Am I really going to heaven? Is God real? those fears, those eternal fears are valid if you don't know your God. You can know your Bible cover to cover, but you still need to know God. And you need to have that time where you talk to him, where you listen to him, where you take your troubles to him, not in a to-do list. God, fix this, fix this, fix this, give me this, give me. No. God, help me. I know you've asked me to submit to my husband, but sometimes I struggle with trusting him. I know you are good, and I understand why I should submit to you, because you, Lord, have all knowledge, and you are all loving, and your motives are always good. But sometimes I worry my husband might make the wrong decision. Sometimes I don't know if what he wants to do is right. And you listen, and God says something to you. This is a personal experience. I had this when I was newly married. And he said, "Do you trust me?" And I said, yes, I trust you. He said, "I've told you to submit to him. You're obeying me, not him. You don't have to expect that he'll make all the right decisions. You have to trust that if you love me, I will work all things together for good for you." Do you know how much peace that has brought to me? Knowing that God loves me and I can trust that even if something doesn't go the way I want it to in this world, he's going to work it together for good. I don't have to be in control of things. I know my Lord is. And that is a peace that is just beyond understanding. But back to what I was reading. It says, we love him because he first loved us. If someone says, I love God, and hates his brother, he is a liar. For he who does not love his brother, whom he has seen, how can he love God who he has not seen? And that this commandment we have from him, that he who loves God must love his brother also. Whoever believes that Jesus is the Christ is born of God, and everyone who loves him, who begot, also loves him who is begotten of him. By this we know that we love the children of God, when we love God and keep his commandments. For this is the love of God, that we keep his commandments, and his commandments are not burdensome. For whatever is born of God overcomes the world. And this is the victory that has overcome the world, our faith. Who is he who overcomes the world, but he who believes that Jesus is the Son of God? This is he who came by water and blood, Jesus Christ, not only by water, but by water and blood. And it is the Spirit who bears witness, because the Spirit is truth. What is it saying? It's saying, if you love God, you will also love your fellow Christians. And sometimes Christians can be unlovable. In the flesh, it's hard sometimes. But ask God to give you that love for them. He forgives them of their faults. He's working on perfecting them. He's leading them through the paths that they need to go on to learn what they need to learn so that they can abide in him. Show them his love. Show them the way. Be that example. If somebody's talking bad about you or attacking you in church, great, fine. Pray for them and show them extra love. And it says, if you love God, you will love your brethren. If you love your brethren, you show that you love God. Love is the most important aspect of Christianity. If you don't have love, you literally have nothing. And you need to really examine your heart and look at the motives that you have in your Christian walk. Why do you do what you do? Is it because it's expected of you? Is it because somebody will judge you if you don't? Is it because you want somebody to think that you're good? Or is it because you love your God and you want to show that love to others so that they will love him too and come to salvation? God is love. It's not just a part of who he is. It's not something he does. God is love. And if we don't have love, we honestly don't have God. So I hope this helps.